Welcome everybody to Mindset Monday with Caroline Ainslie and Evette Franklin. And so I'm the co-founder. I'm a co-founder of Bubbly Maths, and Evette has been with me since 2011. So that's 10 out of the 16 years that Bubbly Maths has been in existence. Evette has been an absolutely critical part of Bubbly Maths. And together, we are taking the next step, which is called, yeah, I know, drum roll, please. Now, this is something which has always been a core part of Bubbly Maths, which is, and our purpose is that every child on earth should love learning and enjoy mathematics. Now, that's every child on earth, not just all the children that I get to go and see in school and that Frank gets to go and see in school and that Evette talks to on the phone. And it's every child on earth. Well, we started off by doing the global maths lesson. That was 2015. So this year will be our 7th. How many? Our 7th. Well, so weird seeing that because it's the opposite way around to what I'm seeing. I'm like, oh, I should lift those things up. Which way around?
No, it's good. Still 7.
Still 7, yeah. So that's in September the 23rd will be our 7th global maths lesson. And the idea there is that we really can reach every child on earth because the activities that we do are accessible to people with or without a computer, as long as you download the PDF enough in advance. And that's what we're doing this year we've been forming an organization which we now call the G10, the Global Teachers Empowerment Network. So that's one of the things that's evolved out of a collaboration between us and Ainslie in South Africa. And so it's our 7th time this year. So that's part of what we do. And collaboration is power, of course. And one thing we've always wanted to do, and I have always done workshops in schools whenever I could with families and helping the process of learning at home. The home learning part, helping the parents like Evette. Evette has, is he 14 now?
13, don't rush us, 13.
Not 14 yet. Oops. It won't be long. Okay, 13. And Evette has been through herself, as the reason why I have to make maths fun, I'm called to make maths fun for people that struggle with maths and have maths anxiety, is that I myself absolutely not just struggled with maths. To this day, I struggle with maths. It quite often takes me a long time to understand a concept, which is why I'm very well placed to help people that struggle. But the difference between me and a lot of people, and I was absolutely horrified. In 2004, I kept hearing on the radio and the newspapers, it was just like a big thing at that point, or it was in my awareness. That people hate maths, that people leave school without good maths, ability, and that people hate maths lifelong and fear maths lifelong. Look at Evette nodding her head. And I was like, really? We can't have that. That can't be. Because I know, even though I struggled with maths, I know that it's all about the attitude, because even though I struggled with maths, I still succeeded. And I got a degree in electronic engineering, which it is impossible to do without maths. You just wouldn't get the degree. End of. Algebra, oh my goodness, algebra coming out of your ears, and calculus, which I've never did shine at, but I got my degree. And so I had to do something about it. So my life completely took a complete U-turn, and not a U-turn because I didn't go back the way I'd come, but a complete switch around. I kind of did one of those spin things and started off in another direction. So my spin was my reset, and I just set off and on the journey in 2005. The reset happened in 2004, and I set off on the journey in 2005. And because I know that the key is enjoyment. You have to enjoy it, even though you're rubbish at it. It doesn't matter. You can be rubbish at kicking a ball, at football, for example, which I am, but you can still enjoy kicking the ball. You can have
Yeah,
great fun
absolutely. And
kicking a ball
people
in the
do that
park.
all the time. Yeah,
Right.
people do that all the time. They're not,
Yeah.
super football champions, but they love kicking a ball around in the park with their friends, with their family. So yeah, attitude and enjoyment definitely are keys to looking at it differently, experiencing it differently.
Yeah, and don't put me in West Ham's, stadium and expect me to score any goals among professional players. No, that's not going to happen.
You might do out of excitement.
Well, I could blow bubbles for them. I could blow plenty of bubbles for them, so I'll be quite happy to do that. But it's enjoying it is just totally different experience than kicking a ball in the park. And you can become good at kicking a ball in the park as you get older. Think about a toddler kicking a ball. They kind of kick and don't hit it and fall on their back and all kinds of things. And I can kick a ball fairly fairly well.
Can't say the word there, but you get fairly well. That's a good say. Fairly well.
I've come better at it over the years, but I won't hit the thing I'm aiming at. I'll kick the ball. Anyway, the point is that it's enjoyment. Enjoyment's the key.
Yes.
So we are launching a course called Happy Maths.
What a concept.
Yeah, Happy Maths. We've also got Smiley Maths, but that's a social enterprise that will be aimed at other different audiences. The same concept, and that'll be aimed at special needs learning and special needs schools in disadvantaged areas with funding. That's like along the line. That's not happening quite yet. But Happy Maths, we are starting in June. Now, in the UK, we have a half term at the end of May. So immediately after half term, we're going to do just 5 weeks. We didn't have our conversation did we, Evette? I'm thinking, okay, no, it's 5 weeks of maths fun in all different ways. We're going to have a session for early years. So if you've got a young child and you don't know how to set them off on the right path, you don't know how to be with that young child to give them the best preparation for being a mathematical thinker. You don't have to be a mathematician to be a mathematical thinker. And what questions to ask, how to talk to them, what activities to do. And again, we'll do the same for primary years and for secondary years. And we also have an amazing, we're bringing in the Conversation Agency. The Conversation Agency is all about having conversations. It is what we literally won't be about maths. It'll be how to communicate. Although the focus is maths, the facilitator, Aisha Delanarol, is actually critically not a mathematician. She is a philosopher, and she will be leading that. And we'll have other different workshops along the way, along the 5 weeks, where the people that join in with us in the course it'll be, I really believe, a mind-expanding experience. And I have waffled on for 10 minutes now, Evette. So I'd love to hear about your reason why you joined Bubbly Maths, the reason why you're so on task with our mission, and your experience throughout the last 10 years and what's led us to wanting to run this course.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, first of all, I think my work with Bubbly Maths is always wanting to do it is always Caroline. Her energy, her passion, her belief in it. I always, when I talk to people about Bubbly Maths, I have I explain to them that Caroline speaks English and Spanish and French and Danish. Yeah. And that for her, maths is just another language that she would love you to engage with and learn and be excited about just as much as she's excited about it. And I tell people that all the time because that's what it's about. And it's amazing because it really is about inviting people to have a shift in their experience of maths. I got to experience it firsthand as well through my son, who's now 13. And I do remember when he was in primary school, he liked maths. And then somewhere along the way, he just kind of switched off to it. He was kind of not interested.
He went the opposite way. He actually was actively against it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So he completely kind of disengaged, thought it was rubbish. Why am I doing this? Da, da, da. And then when we got to the bottom of it, it was really about, he was bored in his lesson and he didn't understand a lot of the stuff that was going on. So he didn't understand it, which meant he was bored. And then he was like, what's the point? And it wasn't the kind of environment that, he could get the help he needed to re-engage to it. But thank goodness he has a super Auntie Caroline whose mission in life is to help children love to learn maths. What an idea. So, the interesting thing as well is she always offered help. We didn't force him. One of the interesting things, it's in such a journey, because for me, one of the many interesting things is, first of all, he didn't want tuition. He wasn't interested in it. She would offer. And I think the important thing, as I realized, offering that loving support, he eventually came to it on his own. But she had to consistently let him know that it was there. And then I'm not sure what happened, but he just got to it himself, and he asked for support and he asked for help. And they worked together, and it was very much about Caroline understood what problems he had in maths, what he had to learn. And instead of just throwing textbooks at him, she talked about, she played games. She got him to experience maths in a completely different way. They talked about games. He's obsessed with basketball. So she talked about basketball. She made math problems that had to do with, if you were this superstar NBA player that you love and respect, and you got a pay raise of that much, how much would it be? And it engaged his brain because he loved you talking about basketball and you talking about people that he admires. So there was always an element of curiosity. And I think Caroline as a person has that about her anyway, that element of curiosity, and she knows how to pull it out of people. And we were in a conversation the other day, and I really believe it's a case of, I still believe that we all, we do love learning, but at some point it gets switched off, because as adults, we think, oh, I don't really need to do that anymore. And as children, it's kind of like, well, I'm not being stimulated, so therefore, I'm just not going to engage with it. And especially with my son, and I've seen some other children that she's worked with as well, because I eavesdrop on Zoom, because you can. it's that they all have that willingness to learn anyway. It's just almost like it's dormant, and Caroline knows where the switch is. Or even if she doesn't know where the switch is, she has the tenacity to go find it. And she asks questions and she engages them. And she literally she keeps going until she finds the switch. And she goes, oh, there it is, ping. And then magically, and I'm telling you, it is just magically, this child who just didn't want anything to do with it engages in maths. Through the work that they're doing, he decided that he wanted to go up at a math set at his school, and Caroline worked with him, and he did that. And for me, the most important things are, this was his decision. Like, he decided that he wanted to re-engage. He decided that, first of all, you know what, my aunt's always telling me that she's available to do this with me, and he went and asked her about it. And then they did the work together, and now he does it on a Saturday morning. A 13-year-old boy, when asked, when would you like to do this math session? Oh, Saturday mornings are good. I'm like,
he's asking me. He says, can we do Saturday morning? But I can tell you how he got engaged, and that was a struggle for me to work it out. I mean, I knew it, but I didn't do it, and it actually took my partner in math crime, Tony, who writes the materials that we use. She said, just play games with him, literally, because I was looking at solving particular problems he had, and I wasn't, even though it's what I do when I go to schools. I wasn't playing games with him. Not every time I played the odd cat. She said, just leave it alone, just play games. So we did. We played games for weeks. And while we played the games, I discovered where the holes were. And then when he was ready, I started filling in the holes. And also we'd have conversations while we were playing the games to work out, okay, so what's that? And then he'd have realizations. But it was literally playing the games for weeks. And the other thing was, it took months, didn't it? It took about 4 months before he actually decided, I want to do this, and was keen on doing the sessions. He became, first of all, keen on playing the games, and then he became keen on doing the learning. And it took 4 months for him to actually go, yeah, I actually want to learn this other thing that isn't a game. So and that is one of the things we'll be doing we'll be playing a lot of games. We'll have games night. Didn't mention that, did I? We're going to have games night. Thursday night is games night in the Happy Maths series. The first Happy Maths, I don't want to call it a course. We have to figure out what to call it. Happy Maths Fun.
Happy Maths experience.
Yeah. Oh yeah, experience happy maths. That. In the happy maths experience, you experience happy maths. Woohoo!
Yeah, there you go. And it, and I think it's a beautiful evolution of Bubbly Maths as well, because in Bubbly Maths, when we're going into school, I talk to maths coordinators all the time, and the concept of maths and fun in their minds have no business together. It's just, it has no business there. And I think that for me, it's definitely the experience, and seeing children, both the times that I've, we've been at education festivals, and seeing children experience, and that really is the magic word. You give them the tools and the language, and you set the perimeters. And I think the language is important, the tools are important, and the freedom that they have to just have that experience. And you watch that, you watch them unfold it themselves and have that. And I do remember in our feedback, it's kind of like a bittersweet one that I had once, reading a feedback form where the teacher said, it's been years since I've seen this particular child engage. And on the one hand, I was like, oh God, that's awful. But on the other hand, it was like, wow, that's what we do.
Yeah, and I had one teacher, I've had it twice now that I can specifically remember. One teacher in South Africa, just happened to be, actually said at the end of her session, she said, I was going to retire. But you've actually reignited the interest you've reminded me what it's like, and I've changed my mind. I'm not going to retire anymore. You've shown me a different way. And I also had a teacher, a specific teacher that told me to my face in England, that talked about, she said, I had forgotten what a joyful experience maths could be, because it's just not a joyful experience a lot of times in the classroom, not because of bad teaching, because of the pressures that were on the teachers.
And the environment.
And the environment and everything. And so it's really, the parents have, now from a point of view of that, I've got to write that one down, from the point of view of a parent.
Yes. Are you writing down your 10 things?
I've got okay, some. Cool. I don't know if I might have more than 10. I'm writing down some things that we review at the end. So from the point of view of a parent, so you really are in the position of a lot of parents that don't know what to do. What would you have loved to have been provided with? If you did over and you had, it's just year 0, and I do mean 0, I'm not talking year 1 or even year 2, when he was born, when you first started talking to him, what would you have loved to have known, or that somebody could have said, do this, do that, do the other? What sort of things would have helped you?
That's such a good question.
And that's from the point of view of somebody who hasn't. Evette is my nemesis. When I get Evette to start enjoying maths activities, then I know I've found the great. We're not there yet.
No, we're not there yet. I 100% believe in the vision for the rest of the world, but for me, I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I don't hate maths though. It's just something. Yeah. I just.
There is an element of anxiety.
Funny.
I can see there's an element of anxiety.
There's an element of. I think I told you once that I avoid. So, like, if we do games or calls, or we do Zooms and we're doing a call or whatever with a group of people, I avoid engagement because it makes me feel stupid. Like, I feel stupid being a 46-year-old woman and not having quick answers to really simple math stuff. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. It's silly, but it is what it is. And I don't, I'm like, no, we're not doing that. I'm not going to put myself in.
It's not silly, and you've actually addressed the crux of the problem there, because I experience that as well. I don't want to. I mean, one of our bubbly maths things is I don't make mistakes. I make magnificent mistakes, and I learn from them. And but the thing is,
that's such powerful language.
Yeah, I love it. But when you're in a group of people and you're not in what they call a safe space, like when I go to maths conferences and I'm surrounded by maths teachers, I'm not a maths teacher. I'm an electronic engineer who isn't that good at maths. And I go to these conferences so I can learn, and I'm surrounded by people who teach maths all day long. Secondary school teachers, because I do mostly primary, because I know that the foundation, the preparation, they've got the right foundation, which is what Leon's missing. Then then secondary is so much. I mean, it's just like, it's obvious when they get presented with things. If they've got the foundation, it's like, okay, we're building on that. Whereas he's actually missing some of that, which makes secondary for him a nightmare. But it's not, because he's got his Auntie Caroline. But there's so many people that have that experience, that are now adults, that are going through the system, now adults, wherever they are. And and it's what I don't know where I was going with that, but it's I've forgotten I've lost the plot. Oh yes, me answering questions in sessions. I do what you do. You don't hear my voice. And Evette kind of goes quiet in the corner, and you're like, okay, Evette's absent. That's all right. That's something I'm pushing. But I do that myself when I'm in a group with a group of teachers or a group of mathematicians. I'm like, what is it they say, that it's better to be silent and look stupid than to open your mouth and remove all doubt.
Open your mouth and shout. There you go. Yes, that's.
And it's oh dear, we've lost Evette. Okay, so I don't know if you can see Evette or you can see me. I'll keep talking just in case. You're back. Okay.
I definitely. So yeah.
And that is universal.
Yeah, so
I think it's universal. And so the important thing is that we get rid of that fear. That, as for one thing, wherever, like when in our happy math sessions, the first thing we're going to learn is that it's a safe space, and that. And one of the things that we're going to teach the families is that we don't want anybody mocking anybody for silly answers, for teasing because they're better at math than the other one, or whatever. That has got to go. So sorry, I've interrupted you. I asked you a question, and then I started talking. Who said that? Who said what? Who said? Tom, who said it? Please tell us who said it. We have Tom Zulu, and that's my Zulu warrior friend. Who said it, please, Tom? Can you please do the investigation, because Evette's on and she can't research well. Google, gotta love Google. So I'm hoping Tom will come up with the answer to that.
Who said that? Yeah. So in terms of the question, what I wish I had, I wish I recognized. I wish I'd kept him always engaged and always playful about maths, because I think at some point I kind of just left school to do school, and I wasn't engaged. And also kind of like, homework. Ugh, I was awful at homework. I'd send him to homework club and they would do homework at homework club. I didn't do
He loved
homework
homework club.
he loved homework club. It was like a different social thing with his friends, and he happened to get his homework done at the same time. So it was a win-win for me. But yeah, I think looking back, it would have been great to, because when they're in that beginning of like reception and nursery, those kind, education is about playing and creativity. You learn through play, and then at some point you switch to, sit down, shut up, and put your hands up, and then the creativity mindset stops. So I wish I kind of was more, kind of paid attention at those points instead of not kind of just handed it over to school, and I was a bit, which would probably been a good thing, because if you look at it in terms of other things, I love personal development, like the books I read and the seminars I go to and the people I'm engaged with. And I totally shoved that down his throat in different forms and things. I don't leave that to school. So if I had that same mindset, that same, what was it, the phrase you said the other day, which I absolutely loved? Enthusiastic lifelong learner. If I had, because I have that attitude towards other areas of learning in my life, I don't have it towards maths or him learning it. So and even now I'm like, I still have that now. I'm like, oh, you've got Tia Caroline, it's nothing to do with me anymore,
not my problem.
I'm like, he's got his work, he's got his session with Tia Caroline, and they're all over it, and I trust her. And so yeah, it's engagement that so really, I am your nemesis, aren't I? So really, the happy maths experience will be great for me, because it gives me the opportunity as a parent to engage with him in what he's learning.
Not just a pretty face,
No, she's
actually,
not.
The only reason why we're doing this course is so that Evette has to engage in the Leon's learning.
She put the parent thing in just for me.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Parents have to engage.
That's the only reason. Everybody else
got her now.
By the way, apparently the quote is attributed to Abe Lincoln. We had a quote earlier that was better to keep your mouth closed and look like an idiot or look stupid than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. Apparently, Tom says that's attributed to Abe Lincoln. Thank you very much, Tom. And, okay, so yes, and the thing is, it's really easy, isn't it, to do the courses that you're drawn to, like as you say, you do personal development. And I love doing maths. I'd love to go into maths workshops. That's something I'm drawn to, but I do it so that I learn as much as I possibly can to be as great a service as possible in my mission. Every child on earth should love learning and enjoy mathematics, and so it's a matter of finding a way to make it an enjoyable experience for the whole family. And it's not a natural thing. Like for Evette and Leon, it wasn't a natural thing. And it's still something that at the moment it's only Leon is engaged in. And so we've got our perfect model family, what do you call it, thingy, when you do a trial, our case study.
Your case study. I want a case study now.
Can you have another baby, please, Evette, so we can have an early years learner into the mix? Would you do that for me?
Nope.
Oh, party pooper. Oh, here we go. The Abraham Lincoln quote. Thank you very much, Mr. Zulu. Better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak and to remove all doubt. In other words, it's better to keep your mouth shut and appear stupid than it's better to keep your mouth shut and appear stupid. Well, actually,
it's
I
not.
disagree.
In
but
the
that's
bubbly
the
maths
whole
world,
point.
It's not.
in the bubbly maths world, it is super important to engage. and to be in a safe space where nobody's going to laugh at you.
So I have a question for you then. How do you best do that? Like if we're programmed, especially in, you know, and a subject like maths where we have these preconceptions about, you know, clever people know maths, and you know, if you've got to use a calculator, you have to think about it, even to the point where, you know, you get those little posts on Facebook sometimes where like it's a maths thing, and someone, I'm like, scroll past.
Yeah.
So
well, the thing is, how
do you combat that? How do you combat people's natural urge to just not engage, to not look stupid?
One of the ways is forget those crazy problems that they put on that are tricks. Basically, there's a red herring in there. They're tricks. They're not maths. They are more. It's lateral thinking, but it's also observation. Okay. They're tricks. So those, and I used to share those, and I stopped toning my maths collaborator. So I've got Evette, who's my Bubbly maths partner, and then Tony Bearden's my G10 partner, and she does the maths, and she is a math learning expert. She's been decorated by the Queen for her services to mathematics and mathematical learning. So she is amazing. She's a grand dame of mathematical learning, as far as I'm concerned. I'm so privileged to work with her. But the thing is that I still was sharing those, and she was like, this isn't a good idea. And I'm like, oh, but they're fun. We get a lot of engagements. We get loads and loads of likes. We get loads of comments. She goes, yeah, but they're not helping anyone learn mathematics because they're tricks. So I'm like, okay, well, how serious am I about this journey? And it's not about engagements. I don't want engagement based on popularity. We want engagement based on learning, and learning well, and having people, and it can be very discouraging. You can go and look at it, and if you're already nervous about maths, you look at that and go, I don't understand this. This doesn't make any sense to me. I must be stupid. That's not helping anybody. So we don't share those anymore. And if I do want to make some, but they're going to actually be following algebraic rules. So they're going to be cute pictures following proper algebraic rules that are not tricks. They're just very pretty ways of doing algebra. So we are going to do those. We do want memes of those, FYI. But yes, the how do you overcome that? So it's absolutely the opposite of remain silent because you don't want to appear, or even remaining silent you appear stupid. Well, actually, yes. If you remain silent in an environment where people are asking questions about maths, then that assumption can be made that, oh, well, they don't know. They're not saying anything because they don't know. But what's absolutely critical is that you find a way for everybody to answer. So how to do that? You do it by using manipulatives, where everybody has their manipulatives, if it's younger learners or any age, and everybody does the activity, whether it's in singles, in pairs, in fours, in threes, whatever it is, everybody is engaged in doing the activity. And if you have a parent and an early years learner, they are still both engaged. So there's no one that can sit on their hands, and no one is speaking out for everyone to hear, whether they're right or wrong. And the word no is, and now I still use the word no. Okay, I'm not perfect by a long shot, but the word no is counterproductive. Someone says it's something, and you go no. The humans are kind of conditioned to, oh God, that's it. I don't want to say anymore.
Yeah, I don't want to say anymore. Yeah.
So the word no is discouraged, and I'm still working on it. And
what do you use instead of? Is there a replacement for the word no?
Great thinking. Keep on thinking. Asking a question in the.
I've heard you say that.
What to you?
No, I've heard you say that to Leon. Great thinking. That's
the thing is, if you think about what's being said, and I've had 200 children in front of me, and someone will put up their hand and they'll say something when I might ask a question, and they'll say something that you're like, are we in the same space? Are we talking about the same thing? I won't say it. I think my brain's going, and then I'll ask more questions. And it turns out, of course, what they're looking at is they're not seeing what I'm seeing. I'm right on the stage, and I've used balloons and soap bubbles, and they're seeing what I'm looking at, possibly from a 2D perspective, like a flat screen, as it were, rather than me. I'm right in it, and it's all 3 dimensional, for example. And they might see, maybe I hold up a shape, see triangles, because I might hold up a shape and say, what is it? Or what's it made of? And they might say triangles, and I'm looking at a cube, which most people know is made up of squares. And I'm like, and first of all, they might not know the word, because that's something I've found out, is that there are a lot of learners everywhere in the world, presumably, that don't necessarily know the language of the school. I had a girl the other day who didn't speak a word of English, or very, very little. Fortunately, it was Spanish, so I was able to jump in and help there. But then I realized what they were looking at was a 2D representation. So they were looking through the shape, and they could see triangles forming from the adding the back and the front. So if they were just looking at it, say if they took a flat picture, it was forming triangles. So there is actually no wrong answer. Yes, you have wrong answers in exams, but to me, that's the only time you have wrong answers, because it's just a matter of working out. The answers give you a clue about what's going on in the head of the person who's talking.
How they're perceiving the question that you're asking, or
and it tells you
or the
whether
thing that you're looking at, rather.
And they may know it, but they just may be anxious, for example. They just may be being put on the spot, and the brain just stops working. So saying no is only a negative thing. So it's like, okay, that's okay. I like what you're thinking. Tell me more. Tell me more is one of the things. Excellent. So let me write that. So we've got tell me more, keep thinking. What else? What else? Keep thinking. And then you've got some questions, actual questions. And just FYI, there are some amazing questions in the Aiming High. We're now basing most of what we're doing on the Aiming High website, which is Tony Bearden, my partner in maths, has created this over the last also 16, 17 years. I think it was early 2000s when she started creating these activities. Well, and a lot of them are based on a website that she used to do, that she founded in the 90s. So she's been at this for 90s, 25 years. She's been creating these activities. And what are in all the guides that she creates for inclusion in school and home learning, in other words, they're guides that go from the age of 3 to school leaving and on. I mean, I'm learning from them, so I'm a little bit older than 18. I'm getting on to being inverted 18. Okay, got another 20 years till I'm 81, but it's I'm at that end of the scale. And the thing is that there are questions in there. So there are questions like how, like if to guide people in the way they learn. And my brain is not providing me with any examples right now, but they're open questions. So if you're looking at distance, you might say, well, how far do you think it is, for example? And with that, and what dimensions might you use? So, and if they don't know what dimension, they might think it's 1D, 2D, 3D. Well, then you're learning that they don't know about centimeters, and using. And also something, for example, they might talk about, let's say you're talking about how much water there is in a bottle, and they go, well, okay, so that's one centimeter. I actually prompt them. I'm like, is it a centimeter? Is it a mouse? Is it what is it? And they go, silly, it's a litre. Oh, it's a litre. So then they know the term litre, and they know that they're looking at that. They just it hasn't clicked yet. So that's one of the things I do. I prompt using going to the ridiculous, and then they're correcting me, and then I really get to know, okay, if they might say, well, it's a meter, and I'm talking about volume, then I know they don't know the difference between a liter and a meter, which is perfect, because they're not there to know everything. Parents aren't there to know everything. We're all here to learn. I don't know everything by the longest shot you've ever do. Oh, I'm going to miss. I absolutely.
I think that's a really important. That's an important point. Is that you don't need to know everything. That you have to have that openness to learn. And with that, I guess, comes a freedom to experience something different.
And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the joy, the enthusiasm, the desire to learn something new, especially when it's something that you feel you should have learned before. If you rekindle the desire to learn that, and you may never have ever have had that desire.
You know what? I think the only time that I recall liking maths was when I was maybe like 18 and I started working in pubs, and this was like before you had fancy tills that added stuff up for you.
You had to do it
mental
yourself.
Arithmetic. And I used to get a kick out of, people order their round of drinks, and I had to figure out how much a round cost and change in my head and get it right. Otherwise, they would very loudly tell you.
It.
Yeah. Otherwise, they would very loudly tell you ripped them off. And then you start to think of patterns. You're like, okay, well, this point and that point, two of those together is that, and three of those together is that. And then when I add those, see. So I got really like, woo, about that. I was 18 and now I'm 46. So
now, how can we use that knowledge for 8-year-olds? How many pints would you combine the pints and the this and that? No, that's not going to work. But that is
how many
lovely.
Kinder eggs?
Kinder, Kinder, use the sweeties that they like. It is actually more challenging these days because, of course, it's all plastic. So I've been thinking about that recently. They're not going to need money per se. So where is their real life arithmetic practice going to come from? We're going to have to create it.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Because that is important. It is important to have that maths gym going on with numbers in order to become number it's to simply have number sense. To have number sense is like you've got an intuition about it, and you develop that by looking for patterns, and you found the patterns. The patterns are it's fundamental in all areas of maths. Patterns is not just about pretty pictures. Patterns is patterns in numbers, patterns in geometry, patterns in statistics, patterns are used throughout, and they're used, of course, in I suppose you're applying mathematics to geography when you're looking at populations, and when you're looking at geographical statistics, you're using statistics and patterns. Absolutely, patterns with COVID. You're looking at what's happening in different countries and what are the similarities, what are the differences, and that's that one. Another really powerful one, by the way, is if you what you want to get someone to think about something and they're not getting it, ask about maybe find something to compare it with, and ask about the similarities and the differences, and that forces them, encourages them to be more observant.
Right.
And the beautiful thing about that is there are no wrong answers. It isn't a right or a wrong.
You're just looking for
what are your observations, and so hearing their observations. There is literally no right and no wrong, because their observations are categorically their observations, nobody else's. Everything they say is A, right, because it's their observations, and B, gives you a clue about where they need where they're sometimes their observations show you that they do actually fully understand it. They weren't able to vocalize it for whatever reason, or were just nervous or whatever. Or the other thing is you find out where the problem lies because of the things they say when they're doing the observation, the comparison. Very powerful.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I'm doing with these notes. They're not very legible.
Yeah. Okay, well, have you got 10? Because I think you've got.
Have I got 10? I've got more than 10. I'm going to pick it.
You've got your next podcast very soon.
Well, 15 minutes from now we're going to do Happy Maths Hour with Tony, which is our weekly Happy Maths Hour, weekly broadcast, something. But yeah, we can do 45 minutes of this and leave it at that. Yeah. That's grand.
Excellent.
And get ready for Happy Maths Hour.
Tell me your 10 mindset.
My 10.
Yes, because that's my
first one.
Bit.
The first thing that you said that was the most important thing of all is to have Caroline. I thought that was great. Yes. So I am required.
It has to be me. 100%. It has to be Caroline.
It has to be me.
It has to be you.
It has to be me.
It has to be you.
I thought that was lovely. The second point I've got is energy and passion. Now, every good teacher knows you engage your learners being energetic and passionate. It is absolutely essential. So energy and passion. So these are things that you pass on, of course, with your children. And so find a way. If you don't feel it, find a way to feel it. And I love that, the pouring pints. So that's a way to become enthusiastic about it. And the absolute key, especially if you've got disengaged, if you yourself are disengaged, and we are going to test this on Evette over the next, that we're going to do the 5, Evette's doing the 5-week course, so
yes, I am.
So it's play games. Wait a minute. You play games. You play games. Thank you. Play games. It works, and there's lots of different games that you can play. You can use. We'll be looking at commercial games. Monopoly. There are great ways to play Monopoly. I've been playing from age 4 on up. Monopoly is a great game. Surprisingly, to get number sense, but it works really well. And then this is kind of, well, this is going back to, so in summary, have fun until maths becomes fun.
Yeah.
So that was what I was doing with Leon. We were playing the games, and then I was discovering the holes, and then he had a desire to work with me because we had that ethos of having fun, I suppose. And this says better too. Okay, that was the mouth shut thing. That's right. That's what that was.
Yeah.
Now, this one came from you. You were talking about you were backing off and letting, and you said you really struggled yourself with homework, and so it's not about being able to do the homework. So it is actually an opportunity to learn with your child.
Yeah.
And very often, as long as they don't get behind, they can teach you what you need to know. It's like, well, what did the teacher do? And if they don't know, then and you not give up on it, not just let it go. Because if you let it go, and I'm not looking at you, Evette, I'm not pointing at you, I'm just talking about in general. If the person at home lets it go, then and the things that so doing the homework with them, what your role is to help them learn, not do it for them, number one, because I have witnessed that, not just with parents, with teachers as well, with TAs as well, and it's with the best will, it's obviously coming from a good place, but and especially if the child doesn't know, I mean, the best thing is to just ask questions and learn with them. And this day and age, we've got this great tool called Google. We've got Khan Academy. Yeah. There's so many things you can do. We've got all these activities on the Aiming High website, and the way that they're designed is spirally. So there's spiral learning. So it's how to become, what did you call it? An enthusiastic lifelong learner.
Lifelong learner.
You get on the spiral somewhere where you're comfortable, you and your young learner. You're aware they're with them. You're not doing for them. And you've got, especially if you use the Aiming High resources, you've got all these lovely questions to go with it. And you can grow together and up the spiral. Yeah. And the beautiful thing about spiral is that you're looking at starting at age 3, and we're going to be doing activities with Happy Maths that will help you with children younger than 3. Just be playing. All you need to be doing really is counting and talking about shapes and that sort of thing. And and grow with them. And it is super important though to not sit back, not let the school take care of it, because they can fall through the cracks. It happens, and it happens a lot. And it's nobody's fault. The teachers are busy, but it is the parent/carer's responsibility. But in this day and age, it's understandable. It's we're all busy. It's completely understandable. But we're giving you an opportunity to know how to do it and to overcome that. And then so learn through play. No, that's not a positive thing. I've covered that. Creating a safe space. That is absolutely critical. That it's not, we don't have, especially a younger child teasing an older child, a younger child that's good, just naturally good at maths, teasing an older child who struggles. It's like, no, okay, I'm going to use the word no there. But maybe you could say, okay, we all agree, and that will be part of the Happy Maths ethos, is we all agree that we're going to be supportive. It's about being supportive. So if a child does tease another one, okay, how can you be supportive? It's not like, no, you're doing it wrong, blah, blah, blah. What can we do to be supportive?
To be supportive, I like that. Yeah.
And I love it. We came up with rekindling the desire to learn maths. So that is actually, that's our job for the parents, the carers, the adults, the volunteers, whoever's involved. It's our job to help you rekindle your desire to learn maths, and that's up to us. So
without alcohol,
that's our. Let me think. I'm not even going to answer that question. The best policy there. And there's no wrong answer. It's just observation. Every answer that's given,
I like that point.
It's an opportunity to learn what they know and to observe what they know. And there's no wrong answer. It's just starting. Every answer is a starting place for learning. I haven't said that before. I know that answer. Every answer is a starting place for learning. And the thing is, every answer is a starting place. It's because the moment of now is the starting place for the rest of your life. So every moment is a starting place. So every answer is a starting place for learning. I'm going to write that down, and that's my conclusion. Every answer is a starting place. This is all content for our book, isn't it, Evette?
Absolutely. That's fantastic.
Okay. Right, that's it. You finished. Fantastic. I'm exhausted.
Okay. I've exhausted it. I am exhausting. I've been told that.
Yvette
I'm going to make another cup of tea.
Nice. Cool. Well, Yvette is actually a much better presenter than me. Sorry?
Look whose cup it is.
I can see that, but you're showing us the other part. Oh, it's Leon's cup. Oh, yay. Leon's Bubbly Maths cup. So would you like to finish off? Because Yvette does her own interviews. She does interviews on Mindset on a Thursday afternoon on Twitch. So would you like to close the session? You're so, not that I'm putting you on the spot or anything.
No, not at all. She loves to do that. She does it quite regularly. Well, just to say, I'm really excited for this journey of Bubbly Maths, and for us to, I think it's going to be really powerful, because even though we go to schools and we engage children and teachers with this amazing vision of learning maths, now this is an opportunity for more people in the globe to experience this, and for me myself to experience it as well. And I've always thought the power of mindset, even in this, is key, kind of to have that openness, and that openness to learn and to experiment and not criticize and thing is really beautiful. So I look forward to it.
And yeah, I look forward to it too. Thank you. Well, this will start at the beginning of June, and we'll give you all the dates and everything. In the meantime, have a wonderful week. See you next week, 4 p.m. 4 p.m. London time for Mindset Monday, and we're going to continue this theme because that is my passion. Yvette's is on the Bubbly Mass wagon. Off the wagon? Oh, she's on the wagon. Yeah, she's on the wagon. She hasn't fallen off the wagon.
We haven't fallen off it. On it.
That's it. And so yeah, I think we might just do this. This might be for the rest of May. We might be talking about this because it's absolutely critical in a successful education career, which is where our focus is, helping kids succeed in school, through loving to learn and becoming enthusiastic lifelong learners.
Amazing. I love that. Thank you so much for having me, and I will see you soon.
Thank you. See you next week. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.